And we're live.
You got your music playing, bro.
Okay. I know I do. I'm shutting it off right now. Boom.
GM.
How goes it?
Talk to me.
Welcome back.
We back.
What I missed yesterday, boys.
Oh, well, for 20 minutes, we talked shit about PCs and why Macs are way more superior in 2023. We talked a little bit of Arbitrum shilling, a little vote for me bags, vote for Pedro bags. And we had the Anata guy or Dragon, I forget, he was in the comments. He was hyping us up, watching along the whole stream. And I think I came out as a VTuber. I think I want to become one.
Dude, join the crew.
That was the recap of yesterday.
We're gonna get him set up. I told him we need to. I was telling him we're gonna have a meeting with Hounds and discuss.
Oh yes.
A more proper podcast setting.
Yeah, dude. I mean, so who's gonna be our? Oh, wait, we already discussed the cameraman. So we'll have one person be the cameraman. He'll stream, and then we'll be like walking around, like teabagging each other and stuff.
In the metaverse.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Minecraft streams are very popular. Okay.
I wish I had that sound effect set up. Get the fuck out of my room. I'm playing Minecraft. No,
you can check a DM. That's how it is. You can't put the A in metaverse when you type it out. It's in the metaverse. It's a swear word,
Jin and Hounds, they I don't know if they themselves are the ones creating them, but I know they have a pretty cool 3D metaverse studio that they do there. They do some type of talk and chat in there. And he reached out, talking to us about what we may like for Eden. So now that we're back, done with the conference tour, we're gonna have to set aside some time and start figuring out what that will look like.
All right. Tell me about Unlonely. You did some research on Unlonely yesterday.
Yeah, I did some research on Unlonely yesterday. It looks pretty cool. Looks like kind of a Web3 streaming service similar to like Twitch, Kick, stuff like that. So I reached out to, I looked at how to sign up and didn't see anything on the site. But then when I checked,
you don't think you have to DM someone or something, right?
Yep. I checked on Twitter, gave a follow to their founder, sent her a DM, and yeah, she was very kind. Offered to get us set up over there. So we'll probably play around with that a bit today.
What is this? What is this? You lost me. What is this?
It's called Unlonely.
It's just a Web3. It's like a Web3 streaming. It's that kind of video game themed. There's like leaderboards and I think maybe a social token. I'm not really sure, but we're talking about crypto. Where we should be all in invested, right? We
streaming all in one day at a time.
Yeah,
hey,
we should be streaming.
Can I stream on Arbitrum?
It's funny is there was a group that streams on Arbitrum, and has a streaming site or something that requested a grant, but unfortunately most people were like no. So
I'll do that ice cream so good whatever NPC thing on Arbitrum.
Nice.
As a VTuber, if somebody wants to sponsor me, I'll do this.
Dude, the Glizzy guy he was hitting it up for a while.
Dude,
Glizzy overload.
Glizzy overload. Holy fuck. The best one I think is the fucking strangest one. Best one is that Spider-Man dude who wears the hoodie and somebody came up and fucked with him, so he started chasing him. He's like, get the fuck out of here. So good.
I'm a fan.
All right, let's
I'll do it on Arbitrum though.
Since today is the day, I think we should start out talking about the last day of STIP. Just a little, just for the tip, we'll talk about STIP. So we got a lot of the late big boys coming in with their votes today. So like I think Treasure has a massive allotment, which could pretty much move the market on this if they apply any of their votes. Like they can lay down the hammer on anyone, and like they can. Well, at this point, it's interesting because at this point, if you don't have more than 113,000 for votes, you're not getting a grant. So at first it was you had to hit quorum. So between all your votes, it had to be 71 million. And then like the next day you had to have at least 60 million for. And then the next day you had to have at least like 80 million for. And as of this morning, you need at least 113 million for votes to get the grant.
And where are we at? Where are you guys at?
We are at 127. We're like I don't know. We're like in the beginning of the last third of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
And we're about
Who's number one?
Pack. Oh, so Dopex is almost running up 200K.
Killing it.
Yeah, they're killing it. Camelot's killing it. Pendle's now killing it. GMX has come down a bit because there's all the like the dollar cost averaging per unit volume like analysis came out in the last 24 hours. So GMX was up there, but MUX is also asking for a larger grant, and Gains is asking for a larger grant, but Gains has almost the same volume as GMX, but I don't think are on. Yeah, they only have 88 million votes for. So now there's some voting moving around. So then more people are voting for Gains, and less people voting for GMX, and because like the fact that per unit dollar of volume and request amount didn't quite make economic sense. But let's be honest, it's kind of a popularity contest, just like everything else. And Gains was the second comer, I think, after GMX, right? So, but look, I mean, perps, like the only on-chain perps that really matter nowadays is on Arbitrum. They're all on Arbitrum, right? Like even the one ecosystem that lives on optimism, like since those incentives kind of stopped, I think their volume kind of tapered off. And that's why they're like expanding the base chain this week. And then if that experiment works, because they're not using Synthetics collateral, they're using ETH collateral, which is more economically, it's obvious. It's a canon item. It's like a dogmatic item. It's like against the faith to do this, but they're experimenting in different collateral types. And if so that works, then they'll move to Arbitrum. Then we'll see what happens. But they're not going to be seen as an Arbitrum native protocol. And like we discussed, I think 2 days ago, it's like things are getting tribal again, especially at the ecosystem level. So I don't know.
Talk to us more about that as a delegate. I've seen a lot of posts about how the STIP has kind of brought Arbitrum protocols together. When you go ahead.
I can talk about the whole stream if you want on this, but so to start it off, obviously there is a lot of discussions that are happening between delegates regarding, like, especially if you're a delegate holder. So this is, I don't think we got an optimism amount, right? I don't think we did. I don't think we got an, like, optimism didn't grant. They did some like retroactive grant or retroactive fund, whatever, to some protocols, but I don't think Premia got one. So I've never been involved in those conversations, so I don't really have a basis to see how that. But from my understanding, a lot of the retroactive public goods funding stuff didn't really go to projects. So the fact that Arbitrum gave tokens to the major players in the space, in the ecosystem, and then so they have obviously economic interests in the well-doing of the ecosystem. They have voting capacity. It brings this interesting dynamic of large projects that have large delegate holdings. So it's like the power it resides in a lot of these larger projects rather than a wide allotment of people, which is kind of what you see in Optimism. Well, I mean, Optimism all delegates to the VCs, so it's like a different story there. But so you have a lot of these different groups that started talking like right when the STIPs went up, right? Like, so like if you had been working together on a project, you're you became more cohesive to kind of partner with that. And if you hadn't talked to someone in a few weeks or months, you kind of were able to bring that discussion up again. And so from a B2B, like project to project perspective, like that started out like really great. A lot of projects that you had been working with are coming back, and like, how can we like start to move the ecosystem forward? And kind of just sped those conversations, kind of fast speed ran those conversations. And then you have projects that you may have a larger presence that you never really talked to before, that are kind of, now you are you have a reason to talk. And so there's a lot of like, just discussions of like, how can we work together? How can we support each other? Stuff like that. Because I probably got, I don't know, there's 100 projects and I probably got 200 DMs, like, not only just from the projects, but from like other people as well. So there was like an overload of amount of people that are reaching out to you. And then like some of them are like, you've never heard of, there's 100 different grants. So like, you're not going to know every single project, and there's not going to be overlap everywhere. But then you have like, just vote for us. And we're like, well, you asked for this much, you asked for 5 million, but your TVL is 500K. Like, that doesn't really make a lot of economic sense. So I'm not going to do it. And then there's like some pushback, and then people are getting upset and angry. And so like, there's been some like emotions in it. But overall, everyone kind of realizes that like no one was paying attention to the DAO, because when the DAO was created, I don't know what, 6-9 months ago, whatever it was, there wasn't like a strong, and we discussed this the other day, it's like more of a bottom-up approach, right? They're like, figure it out, right? This is the constitution, figure it out. And so that had been moving slow. Everyone had been like in their silos, like working on their own shit. And then a group of, then Camelot came with a proposal. It got shot down. And the people are like, how am I even supposed to get a grant? Like, right? Like it was a good proposal. It still got shot down. Then they're like, this means that even if the big projects are getting shot down, the small projects have like no chance, right? And it doesn't scale on a one-to-one basis. So like, okay, let's spin something up quick. Let's create like a black hole of gravitas, like attention gravity into the space. All the projects will come in. They all start working together. Thought leadership will come out of it. And then going into next year, where the budget can be a lot more than it is for this round, how can we put together a better framework and procedure of how to do requests, right? And so it was fast by design to just get something out the door and get something moving. And so now it's just kind of like, hanging on by whatever that saying is, hanging on by, yeah, it's
kidding.
just trying to figure it out, right? So things are kind of changing on a daily basis. Like, you weren't able to game theorize like every one of the different outcomes that were going to happen. So you just kind of like, okay, we'll figure it out when an issue arises. And so there's a lot of criticisms on the current STIP process. And so like, what myself and a lot of other delegates are trying to do is like, okay, fine, we understand that there's like current shortfalls, but like the purpose of this was to create a better framework. And now everyone's kind of getting together and starting to put together to get better framework. I mean, I've already put out like a proposal for a better framework, at least like a V1. It's going to take 3 months to kind of scope over with delegates. But like in high level, it's more of you have like third-party service providers. Maybe those are auditors. Maybe those are like, Dune dashboard creators. Maybe those are video creatives, whatever your project needs. Maybe you need research, right? Maybe you need a subgraph developer part-time, whatever. Like third-party like approved service providers that then you can come in, you can get a grant for, and then you can kind of pay with them. So it's like maybe like a little bit of a barter system. Because I kind of like that, because right now with the STIP, like it's very stringent on how you could use it. But like, I think with like one strong executor and 200K in budget, I probably could have achieved the same outcome as $1 million in capital, right? So it's like not very efficient in terms of use of the capital. So that's where we stand. A lot of cool stuff. We're getting really close with a lot of different projects. There's already starting to be some benefits of like shared ownership. So to give you an example of one thing that's challenging is, let's say we wanted to bring on a native asset, let's say OP token, from Optimism, we wanted to bring it onto Arbitrum and use it as like a collateral asset. If we were to do an O token, like a layer 0 native token, we would lock it up in OP chain, then we would mint it on Arbitrum. But then whoever did that, it would be like, Premia OP collateralized token. And, especially if the smart contracts are upgradable, because we don't know what's going to change in the layer 0 future. But then that has you have a risk of trusting Premia to always make sure that that bridge is up and running, and that they know that they're not trying to rug pull and all this jazz, right? So like, why doesn't a multi-sig of 9 projects own that? So like all those 9 projects can integrate that OP token. It's a shared infrastructure cost, shared development cost, and then you have multiple people looking at it. It's it's gonna take like all the projects to agree on an upgrade, and then all the projects can trust that they can use that collateralized OP token within their projects. So like that's already come out of it. Like Abracadabras can kind of take in the lead on that. But I only continue to see like joint efforts be created in that capacity, and I don't think I've never seen anything like that in any other chains, right? So a lot of cool stuff. I mean,
You think we're gonna see everybody else die off? Like, you think
well,
Optimism is the home of perps right now? You think it's gonna be the home of options with Premia? Do you think that becomes like the main layer for most activity, right? Because I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, I was like, I don't even know anybody building on Optimism. I don't know one dev building on Optimism, right? And devs go where they're treated best or where the
exactly.
majority of the users are, right? So it's either Arbitrum or ETH, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have large infrastructure players like Base coming in and building on the OP stack. You have Zoro, who is like the leading in the NFT space in my eyes, coming in and doing an OP stack, and they're doing some cool stuff. But you're not seeing a lot of the projects. Yeah, and we discussed this. Like all the mind share, all the brain gain has happened in the Arbitrum world, and like it would be super cool to see what basis to Optimism X is to Arbitrum. Like it would be really cool to see something like that. Like Binance is rolling an OP chain, so I don't know who the other player could be, but watch it be like a big bank or something, and then people are gonna get real crazy. Then you get some real real conflicting viewpoints, but yeah, I think that's probably like one of the big first next steps for Arbitrum is like, are we gonna see a JP Morgan chain? I don't know. We're gonna see a
No, you're gonna see an OFAC chain. That's what you're gonna see. That's what
the IMF chain.
Dude, Inf chain, OFAC chain, it's all coming together, bro. People
World
people
Bank
don't
chain.
realize, like, yeah, so you're gonna have like each individual country is gonna have their own chain, right? Brazil next year will have the Drex, so the whole trade economy of Brazil will be on their. It's the stupidest fucking name, Drex, but it's their blockchain for the economy to
I mean,
build a
it kind of sounds
digital
badass.
economy. Drex. It just call it the digital real, right? The Brazilian real, the digital real, make it easier. So that we'll be the guinea pig for the world, right? 220 million people. I think you're going to have these government chains, country chains, and then they all talk to IMF chain or Swift chain, or I hope we get rid of fucking Swift because I'm tired of paying those fucks $30 every time, or
Yeah, dude.
whatever it is. It's insane. So I think that it's a KYC world and world we're living in it. And some players, like I know people who only want to trade on the CME, for example, right? They'll only trade on the OFAC chain. And then there will be people like us who trade on the Freedom chain, the Freedom Fighter chain.
Yeah, I've brought this up just about how like the L1 like L2 world is now. Like you can think of it as like a nation state theory, right?
Yeah.
Where like everyone has their kind of home nation that they choose to live on and go and shop on. You have your infrastructure and casinos and utilities and when something new and shiny comes out in a new country, you usually love to go vacation, go to the new casinos, try them out. But when you're done, you always take your money, or you take what money you have left and you go back home. Like you don't keep all your money there. I've never once known someone to fucking bridge to Harmony from ETH and then be like, "Oh, I'm gonna just leave all my money here." Um, Unfortunately, some because of the hack that had no choice.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
Forced.
but like in almost every case, obviously there are some cases where someone's a believer now and they find a new home. But in the majority of cases, they go back, and it'll be the same with these types of chains when they mature. I believe like you'll have people that may only use JP Morgan chain, but then some new regulated, lending pool they're allowed to transfer money to, or that's been whitelisted for them, comes out, and they're gonna send money over to try it. When they're done, they go right back to their JP Morgan chain.
JPM chain, JPMC.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think that'll happen, but yeah, the project space, the brain, like the devs are on Arbitrum, at the protocol layer, like off-chain labs are, ballers, Prism. So like,
Oh, I'm never
yeah,
leaving. Yeah,
we're never going anywhere.
You'll never see me in a
Okay,
fence,
old man. Go back to your porch, okay? Fuck.
Back in my day, we had bridges to get from place to place.
Yeah, the biggest winner of all this is going to be Chainlink with CCIP, but whatever.
Long link, dude. Link Marines are gonna come back in full force.
I mean, we're still 3 years away from that, but they still need to
kind of like friend tech points.
DK, do you think this is something kind of interesting? Do you think Base will have a token? I saw a pretty interesting thread the other day about.
I wrote like, I don't know, when they launched. I'm like, could see a world in which, when there's clear regulatory framework, that base token is equal to one base share.
Okay.
All right, I got some.
Where is the share traded?
I'm muted. Sorry. Yeah. So I said. So yeah, base token is equal to one base share. What do you think about that?
Where are the shares traded?
Well, they're collateralized on base chain.
Okay, so you're thinking of you think that rather than create a new token, they will essentially go the RWA route and tokenize their stock. That's interesting.
So I think that the token already exists. It's just in a different market right now.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, and I could also see a world in which you can pay, and this is what they should have done, but whatever, is that they pay for gas in USDC. I think that would have been better than using ETH as a gas.
I do agree with that part.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take. Okay. I saw a thread the other day by JPEG saying that just he was surprised more people weren't talking about the Optimism base deal. Because he saw it as like a proxy to issuing their own token, giving them 15% of the revenue or 2.5% of net profits for 118 million OP. And on the 10th, the deal with Base is effectively selling OP at 25 to 30 cents.
So does that mean that they would give people that use their platform OP tokens?
Yep.
I could see a world in which the super chain, super validator, sequencer.com is
they give them
it's OP token governed. No, I see it being OP token governed. Why not? So ultimately, everything will roll up to OP.
Right, because like when you, I don't know, maybe people were just kind of distracted with the SBF stuff and war, but they're welcoming a roll up to their governance, right? So it's like it's a bit different dynamic. Like we've seen DAOs, I guess, join. We have a DAO on our parliament, but it seems like it's definitely a much bigger event than the general like crypto public has kind of made it seem, to bring a whole chain onto your like governance.
I mean, the superchain's going down the app thesis, right? Like app chain thesis.
We'll definitely
Good.
see more of this,
Good
but
for
it's just
them.
like,
Like Arbitrum has an offering. You can't just roll a layer 2 using our piece Arbitrum stack. You need to get it approved by governance. But anyone can roll a layer 3 on an orbital layer 3. That's open source. Like that, anyone can do that. So I don't think really anyone's using, like the only one that maybe is using it that I don't even know maybe is Vertex, because they have the like off-chain execution and matching, but then on-chain settlement on Arbitrum. So they have like their own sequencer, off-chain sequencer, and then so they can get like 30 millisecond latency times on execution, and then I think they order those transactions, and then they just write them in blocks to Arbitrum. So similar to how a layer 2 writes to L1, they have an off-chain sequencer that writes to an L2. So it's
my
kind
only
of
problem there is like with this off-chain on-chain thing is like, where's the team located? Where's the offices located?
where's
You
that
know,
node
like
being run? Like
where's the whole back end looking like? Because you could run into some major compliance issues just because of this, right? And it's interesting to see that all these people just aren't going fully on chain. I know we've talked about that before, and I know people are working on some new things, but it's not like it's the norm, right? Click trading fully on chain is still the norm.
it's an interesting design decision. Like I get it, like the 30-second millisecond execution time. I get it, especially for like the perps. But yeah, it's a challenging, like, but maybe they grow so big and grow so fast that by the time they solve it, they've already captured most of the market. You know what I mean? Or like the market share that they wanted. So it's also like it's a game theory. There's game theoretical elements. There's like, what level of risk are you happy with for what period of time? So it's like not everyone is 100% risk averse. Like maybe they're operating in a gray zone until they feel like they need to make the transition into back in inbounds again. Which I there's plenty of teams that are doing that, which I don't oppose.
It's going to be interesting. And then if you go ahead and build your own chain or whatever, then you have people swimming to your island, right? Like, I don't know, this DYDX thing, right? Oh, they want to build their own chain. People have to bridge into their own little chain, play in the little sandbox or whatever, and then like Cozy said, they're just going to come back home at the end of it, right?
Yeah, DYDX is a behemoth in itself.
I was gonna say they're probably the one that it made the most sense for, and
their legal team is like the best in the biz for sure. And I think that the reason that they rolled their own Cosmos chain is just so they can use regulatory arbitrage to then get that revenue back to token holders. It's just like a completely different ballgame.
My bags.
Yeah, they're but I mean, they got a war chest like no other to tackle that problem head on for the industry. So like, I mean, we've definitely looked at a lot of how they've operated and the different legal decisions that they've made, and like, so we've like followed in their coattails or their wake. But I'm all for it because like they share a lot of how they're doing things. If you go to like the DYDX Foundation like site and stuff, there's a lot of documentation that you can use to like create your own opinion on a legal entity structure and stuff like that. So like, I'm all for them. Like, I think that they're net positive for the entire ecosystem. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Antonio DYDX, his Twitter. How many lawyers you got? A lot, baby. We got a lot. That's his tweet, bro. That's a live tweet. We got a lot. Oh yeah, just a mess of this regulatory debacle. Just depends on so interesting that like different areas are totally welcoming, totally some areas are totally anti, and if you're against blockchain, let's not even say crypto blockchain, right? You're just going to miss out on like a whole another level of innovation. And then if you're short innovation, then you get sent to the dark ages, or you get left behind at some point, or you're just trying to play catch up. So it's going to be a interesting next handful of years.
I like that. I like that take. So anyone who's anti-blockchain, we're just gonna say they're short innovation.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, right? Like
Yeah.
America was built on like less regulation and long innovation. And look everything that came out of America in the last, I don't know, since the 2000s, let's say, right? I'm not that old, right? So I can't vouch for past that, but then if you're like anti, I don't know, capitalist, or it's not even anti-capitalist, it's just anti-innovation. Like, oh, we're just not going to go with this. We like Swift. We like T+2 day settlement. We like, being slow. We like collecting fees. And then you're going to have, I don't know, all of Europe or whatever, all of Latin America, all of Asia, be on their own country chain or whatever it is. And it's just going to be faster, more efficient. And yeah,
I think,
that's my
but
stance.
with the rise of Silicon Valley, I like every nation is like, I wish we had that, right? Like, so
Of course.
so I think that there's a lot less that are like protectionist. They're like, we'll take some risk on this as long as the other countries still recognize us as a government, as a nation state.
Yeah. Little Palau action.
Yeah, it's like we got to do it in a way that they're not saying that everyone that's laundering money is coming here, and then everyone stops like allowing them bank relationships. But
I mean, they allow us bank relationships everywhere. As I mean, I say us, I mean the U.S.
yeah, no, but what I mean is that if you become a country that is known as like
Go on.
Hub.
Go on.
Dude.
Yeah. If you become a country that's known as either a tax haven or think about Panama, right? Like
Not a tax haven, but a hub for fraud. Yeah, okay.
exactly,
So go
right?
on.
Like
Yeah.
So
you're
the
you're
U.S.
gonna you're not gonna get as many favorable outcomes from other nation states when they look at you, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing what a giant military and black budget will do for you.
Dude, Hamas is about to find out why we don't have free healthcare. Like that's how bad it's getting. It's
I
going
mean,
bad, going downhill.
if you look like I think that you start to see some of this with like within the last 10 years we stopped playing like world police to a greater extent. And like
yeah,
especially in the naval, especially on the Navy side, like pulled back a lot.
yeah. No, we
And
have
then
bases everywhere, but we're not as active.
yeah, exactly. But especially on the waters, right? Like they used to patrol the seas, and then you get a complete U.S. pullback on that, and now you're starting to see piracy come up. It's like 2020, 2023, and piracy's back and is back and hot, right? Like it's just crazy to me. It's just, but
We don't
that's
need to
what the
patrol the
U.S. has been
seas. We've
doing.
got drones everywhere.
Yeah, but drones are like hidden and stuff. It's like what are you gonna do? You can't really do
Satellites
anything
now.
if you're on the high
Look,
seas, like taking oil tankers, what are you going to do? You can't shoot them down with a drone. You need
they're
boats.
letting us plebeians access satellites where we can, fucking zoom in on some guy sunbathing in his backyard. I don't think my thought is like that they don't need to be out on the seas the way they used to because they can just monitor it with satellites and fucking, call in a strike if they need to.
From Arbitrum to wartime talks.
It's a new
good
Cold
show.
War. Our tech is so far beyond the comprehension of like the average person that I don't think we need to have the like show of force that we did in the past, 20 years ago. Okay, off this like topic of war though, onto another type of war. I'm at war with fucking OpenSea right now. God damn it.
And miladies.
I'm not at war with miladies. No, it's not a war you want to go.
Start.
Yeah, take OpenSea over the miladies. Don't.
Yeah.
They banned my account, and it doesn't really make Well, I kind of understand their logic, but it doesn't make sense because they claimed at first that my account broke terms of service, but then when I reached out to inquire about it, they let me know that they froze it because of unusual activity. I don't see anywhere. I mean, I read quite a bit of it yesterday to try and find what uh, what was detailed as unusual activity and grounds for account freeze of said unusual activity. Because the only activity that was taking place was me being fed up with watching my JPEGs drop in value every day and deciding to just sell them all. So, granted, a lot of them hadn't been touched in like 2 years, 2 years plus. Uh, I sold a significant amount in a short period of time, and then, I was doing some productive work, came back a few hours later to sell some more, and I didn't have access to my account. So yeah, I'm pretty pissed right now. The only way to get access to my account is to send them my ID information or to go through some third party like ID verify. It's like, why the fuck am I gonna give you my ID to do
Just send
one
them
of
a
the two?
photo.
Dude,
Send them a
Put
photo
it
of
in your
you holding
bag.
up your passport, of you right
you
next to your face, and then say, "I X Cozy, VX Cozy, approve this message for all withdrawals." And that's the safest thing you could do. Like, why
yeah,
wouldn't you send
I'm
them a photo of your
literally
passport next to your face?
Can't you
I'm
just use
not
Blur?
gonna I'm not well, yeah, I'm just right now I just went on to other sites that are, proxies to sell through OpenSea. And
Or
the
is
prob the
does
here
Blur
the
flag your
problem is
NFTs as stolen?
no, the problem right now is that that was one concern of mine. Like, will I not have bids on these soon because they're flagged as like being from a suspicious account? So I was gonna just sell everything. Luckily, they're still getting plenty of bids on them at the moment. But the problem is that a lot of these NFTs aren't visible on Blur because Blur doesn't show some collections, and some of these are high value NFTs that, I wouldn't be able to sell anywhere outside of OpenSea or, a few like very
Uh,
niche NFT platforms. Um, so I listed them all. I went like all the like really high value ones from the collection. I listed them.
Pseudo?
I put them on Sansa. I listed them on Sansa. So if you are looking for any art blocks, fidenzas, ringers, squiggles, elevated deconstructions,
Oh, you're out,
um,
out. Oh, you're done.
well,
You're liquidating it all.
I don't really know, what will happen to these NFTs now because I don't want to give them my ID. Why the fuck would I want to be like, oh, here's my
They can report you
pseudonymous
to the
identity.
IRS, dude.
Yeah, here's also my
Send them your
ID
Twitter.
with
This is me,
everything.
bro. Fuck you.
Yeah, yeah. Why the fuck would I do that? Um, so yeah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna sell them all and tell them to fuck off. Uh, I think it's like terrible business practice to have a marketplace where you can do literally two things on the platform, buy or sell NFTs. And because someone decides, okay, you know what? I just don't want to hold this garbage anymore. I'm going to just sell them. You freeze their account at your own will and, demand that they dox to you. Um,
Yeah, you could
Can
run
you,
into a
like,
big
even
issue
if you
there,
were
right? You could
compromised?
just blame the apes. Just blame the apes for this one.
I have a question for you. Even if you were compromised, like, how are they helping you?
that was my point before we started streaming was like this is like it's like the gun control debate, right? Like with gun laws, when you restrict the people that aren't doing anything wrong, like the criminals are still gonna do what they want to do anyway. Like you can't stop the criminal from interacting with contracts, from selling into bids, from selling on other marketplaces. The only thing you did is piss me off by making it more difficult for me to offload my NFTs that I fucking own. And like, if you read the emails between us, it's very clear that it's my that it's my account, and if it wasn't, I'd be the 0.1% of the world, 0.01% of the world that's good enough at social engineering to where you know, I'm tricking these people into unlocking my account. It's just so
Did you
fucking
go to
stupid.
the store, like the AT&T store? You could do that.
If there was an
Yeah,
OpenSea store,
yeah,
I would
OpenSea's
I would have
marketplace,
flown
dude.
there yesterday.
Yeah, just the C marketplace. It's open.
It's open. No,
Um,
that's a fucking mess. I don't know if you did a little tweet storm,
I
you
did
know, a
already,
little
I think.
angry tweet storm. Oh
They
yeah, you
don't
did
give a
already.
shit, dude. I already,
Oh
I
yeah,
already.
fuck. Hey, get Zach XBT on the fucking case. You
Who did you follow recently? Was it Froggy or someone? I was like, oh shit.
know? He's like, oh fuck, I gotta
whenever you
nuke
see
my
that, you're like,
account.
ah,
Fuck.
shit.
Yeah,
It's
Froggy got
coming. It's coming.
I
Froggy
gotta,
got sim swapped.
yeah. I mean, I wanna move the discussion towards. Are you familiar with like the services like WebAssy?
No,
No.
I'm a little dumb. I'm a little slow.
Okay, so there's a few different that are out there, but essentially what it does is you pay them a fixed fee, let's say $10 a month or $30 a month. And what you do is you approve a smart contract that essentially has the ability to transfer all, let's say transfer all your NFTs or transfer all your tokens
Mm.
to another wallet or multi-sig or whatever, right? And it's very, very straight through. It says anyone can hit the panic button and it will grab all the assets from wallet A and move them into wallet B, right? And so if you see that, like, okay, someone just dumped 30 ETH worth of my NFTs, you go into the interface and you hit panic button and it moves all your assets to this different wallet, right? That assuming it's not compromised.
Yeah, I've seen this.
Yeah. So you can even pay a larger fee, and what happens is they will actively monitor the mempool for you, right? And if they see a transaction that's like, selling 5% of your NFTs at market price within a certain time frame, then they'll go ahead and execute that panic transaction for you.
Well, that kind of sucks though, because some of these like old NFTs are down terribly, and the only bids on them are like 50% below floor. And
No, I
if you
mean
just want to liquidate,
you can pivot that though, right? If you have $1,000 or 1,000 ETH worth of NFTs and 50 different NFTs get sold within a certain, you can set the parameter, right? So, but I like the idea
they're
of
not worth 1,000 ETH anymore.
I get what you're saying, but what I'm trying to say is that if there is abnormal activity on your account, it actually will move it into like a multi-sig or something until you figure it out, and that actually would help a user rather than what OpenSea does,
It's
which
just nuke your account. Yeah.
which is just like you need a KYC so we can send it to the IRS before you can sell more, right? Like that doesn't
Yeah,
still
that's
help. You still just go to
literally
another platform and sell it, and then they still have all the ETH.
yeah, that's literally like what I felt like they were trying to do, because it was like, I mean, I sold a lot of NFTs in a really short period of time and racked up a nice balance of wrapped ETH. Uh, so I could see it two ways. One being their internal triggers hit because of that. They're like, okay, this person like acquired a significant amount of funds. We need to get their identity. Or the other option is something, triggered because of thank you, apes. Because of ape activity, and it goes, okay, we need to hold this account because this is activity that looks like an
Yeah,
account that's been exploited.
I'm
Because
just
like I wasn't
what I'm
setting.
saying is, if they're gonna do this, they should include a service like WebAssy that says if we see this kind of activity, we'll move the assets for you, and this is how you unlock them, right? Like they could make it into a product, right?
Don't give them any ideas.
All
Fuck
right,
that.
fine.
No. Actually,
I'm
yeah.
always
Give them
telling.
the
I'm always
idea so
telling.
no one fucking uses OpenSea anymore. Yeah, please do this OpenSea. This is a great idea. What you should do is set up a way to lock your customers' assets completely, and force them to KYC with you to get them out. That way, when it happens to someone, no one will fucking use you. You'll go to zero, and I will be happy. Pisses me off because some of these, like, the bids are like 20 ETH, below floor, and like I don't really have a choice but to probably sell into it because the other scenario is that all the assets get marked as potentially stolen or some type of label on them, and all the bids disappear. And then I just have like a bunch of NFTs that were at one point worth a lot of money that I'll never be able to sell because I didn't want to KYC with OpenSea.
I mean, you can still fill the bids. If there are bids on OpenSea, you could use something like LooksRare now to fill them without using the front end of OpenSea, or no? Oh, because they control it
I
on
can
the API side.
Yeah, they'll hit a tag on it. Like right now, my account and the assets aren't visible on OpenSea.
Got it.
But fortunately for me, because my account was active, I think some bots started rebidding on stuff because I'd gotten some larger bids on some of the items that I held
Oh, is
off
it
from
an
selling.
inside job, dude? Is it an
So
inside
I
job?
That wouldn't be the
OpenSea?
first
It,
fucking
dude,
OpenSea inside job.
it may be like, on the Denza, as soon as it got locked, there was like a bid that came in 20 ETH more than like the one that was underneath it. And it's a little bit under floor, but the thing is the one that's at floor is also has a marking on it saying that like, this
It's being reviewed.
asset, yeah, no, just like that it could be from a like exploited account, or I forgot like exactly the language on the label, but there's like a warning on it. So when you're on Sansa or you're on some other site, you see this little like caution sign. That's like a sticker on the NFT.
You know what? All this NFT talk is like bringing back a lot of nostalgia for me. Like cruising the marketplace, looking at all the, like, especially like the profile picture projects. Like, that one's cool. That one's cool. I'll buy this one. I miss that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna I will say I'm not liquidating, like my tubby. I'm not gonna sell my rose crown pudgy. My chubby corns, like I don't care if they mark those and like those never sell. It's just more the all the generative shit that I was holding. I don't want those to get I don't want to never be able to sell those.
I thought NFTs were the future of art.
Well,
Yeah, they'll be back.
That was the
They'll
whole
be back, dude.
movement.
I don't think that NFTs aren't the future of art. I think that a lot
they're
of
going to be
generative stuff
luxury
was
goods.
inflated, and that NFTs solve specifically for art like a lot of problems with counterfeiting in the traditional art world.
I just see them as like another luxury good industry, really. Like,
That's another
you're spending money on stupid shit you don't need in other places. Why not in NFTs? It's more fun for me to buy an NFT than Louis Vuitton backpack.
This
personally.
fucking VTuber is an NFT, Marty.
Yeah, dude. We're using our NFTs right now, dude. We paid a lot of money for these NFTs.
Well, no, at least there's some, utility and usability, right? That you can be a fucking VTuber, bro. Like, who else can say that they were a fucking VTuber? Like, you're not just some bullshit vlogger, you're not like a Mr. Beast. You're doing it in the metaverse, bro. You're doing it in the metaverse.
Dude, Mr. Beast, the cost to bring on Mr. Beast in a marketing activity usually outdoes the annual spend of most like blue chip companies.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like, I watched a video. He was like,
that's why he started his snack brand, because no one could afford his rates anymore.
He had this little burger. He had a little Beast burger, right? Dude, the fucking mall they had to keep that mall open for 3 days to fill all those burger orders. But yeah, that guy, dude, is insane. They make like $3 or $4 million a video. And he's like, yeah, fuck it. We just roll all the money into the next video. I'm like, holy shit. All right. Well,
some of his videos are like fucking like 20 million, dude.
Dude. Fucking wild, dude. That guy's got it down for sure. He's a fucking genius.
He's the one-upper of the one-uppers.
Yeah, dude. Imagine a little Mr. Beast burger right now for lunch. Oof.
It's crazy. You can get them like just about anywhere here.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say anywhere, but you can get them
ghost kitchens,
more
right?
places more places than you would think. Yeah, they're all ghost kitchens. Someone wants to have them, they set up like a kind of like franchising contract with them, and they'll ship them all the stuff they need.
Oh, that's a good gig for sure.
Yeah,
It's
there's
like, dude,
no.
fucking Mr. Beast versus In and Out. Imagine that, dude. Mr. Beast goes worldwide.
He has no like physical stores. You know, there's no stores that are like solo like Mr. Beast burgers where he has his employees. It's all
His distribution network is his face. Like,
yeah,
that's
Yeah,
power.
you know how many kids watch that fucking guy? Dude, so many
power
kids.
money can't buy.
the candy bars,
yeah.
man, that kill it.
I'm about to
We
make
need to get him to
Marty
get into
burgers.
politics, dude. He needs to start telling all the
Yeah.
kids watching his shows who to vote for, so they can tell their parents.
Dude, how much would Sam have to pay for him to tell Mr. Beast?
he
You know, like,
he
hey, you
has
got to
too
tell
much
your
money.
audience, bro.
Like Mr. Beast is he's very like knowledgeable about how much his brand is worth and how much he's like worth. So I think he's one of the few people that like can't
He
be
was like
bought in that
he
way.
was the first YouTube data nerd, like way back when. He min maxed like every stat on YouTube.
Mhm.
He had to build a
He
whole
was
new
offered
fucking
some crazy
database for him.
amount. He was offered a really crazy amount for his channel, like which is one of them. I think it was like I don't know, 500 million or some crazy shit like that, and he turned it down because like you said, DK, I think doing the math, it was like at that time it was worth over $1 billion.
Like,
Yeah, but
dude,
it would
that's like
also
20
like
videos, bro. That's like fucking
it would
30
also
videos.
dilute.
What do you mean?
It would also dilute his brand, so like the amount of impact it would have on his other brands probably would be pretty significant. I mean, he'd be able to sail into the sunset, but I mean, he's looking for multi bills, right?
Yeah, 500 million enough for a beast, you know.
Dude,
He loses that in poker in a weekend playing with the pimps, you know.
His snacks make that in a week.
Yeah, come on, man. And what is he's only
Big
like 20
facts.
something, right? He's not even 30,
dude,
right?
he's
So
like
he's got a
23.
fucking he's got a long way to go, bro. God.
DK, you weren't on
well,
yesterday, but what are your we're coming up on time, but what are your thoughts on the SBF trial so far? I think it's
Shameful,
crazy
guy.
the way everyone's
Shameful.
singing, the way everyone is
Hobbit.
I'm ashamed
has
to be
been
part of this
Goblin.
industry. You guys are all shameful.
Yeah. That was pretty bad. That was pretty bad.
The only thing that I've kept up with on to to my normal extent of how I keep up with things when I say I am is that like Michael Lewis stuff of the author was like he's totally misunderstood. You know, he's like the guy. Does SBF have like a hypnosis machine or something? Like what?
I don't
Like,
know. I
what
could
is
smell Sam's balls on his
Yeah.
breath.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
that was
like,
bad. And
what?
fucking 60 Minutes, you have to be over 60 to watch fucking 60 Minutes, right? So like that target audience was like, I
And
have
they're
no
the most
idea. You're talking
goal-looking
to the old
people.
folks home? Like, who the fuck are you talking to?
Yeah, but that's the people that are going to be making the decisions in this trial, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So like he's still a puppet master. He's got some sort of special alien tech, right? That he can just
Some
hypnotize
South Pole
everyone.
shit. Yeah.
Dude, it's that like it doesn't make sense to me. And
Well, once they moved out of once they moved out of the once they moved out of the Bankman Palace, it seems like his alien tech wore off because everyone has been singing.
Charisma.
It's only
has been
approved for use in the
singing.
Bahamas, dude. That's why.
They have been
That
singing
fucking
on Sammy.
charisma.
Yeah, his Rizma wore off as soon as they left the Bahamas.
Fucking Riz and charisma.
Yeah, dude, I like Rizma. That's good. But yeah, I mean, I've been
Alright,
following the
I gotta
trial.
go fucking eat vegan food, so go fucking pray for me. I gotta go meet my fucking sister-in-law and eat vegan food. I'm sorry, pimps. Until next time.
Enjoy the hummus.
Enjoy it. We'll get
Enjoy
your
the
final
hummus.
thoughts, DK, and then we'll close it
Later,
up. Yeah,
pimps.
enjoy the hummus.
No, I mean, it's just a spectacle at this point. It's like a distraction, I think, if anything.
Imagine if we had video like the Herd Depp trial. It would be fucking insane.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter, but we'll see what happens with the trial. Like, if he gets found not guilty, like
zero chance. I don't see any way. I
mean, there is a chance.
The testimony is literally like.
What do you think if he gets caught guilty with no jail time or jail time served?
How would they? I just don't understand how the amount of time that he's already served would be enough to constitute full time served when every person that's gone up has pretty much just said like, "Yep, we were committing fraud. Yeah, we knowingly were committing fraud, and like a lot of fraud. No, like we just did fraud. Like, yep. Me, Sam, just sat around. Oh, what do we talk about? Fraud. Like, it's so bad.
Dude,
I
his
don't know
comeback is
how.
gonna be great. It's gonna be one for the books. No, dude. I
That
mean, no one there is no future for him. So I don't. It doesn't really matter to me if this case in general is really bad for the industry because of all this blatant fraud that happened and how easily it was done and how easily it was to manipulate people when you throw money in their direction and tell them to look the other way. I'm going to pay you off. Essentially, he was paying people off, right? Be like, I want you to sponsor this. I'm going to throw you a gross amount of money you can't refuse, and then you're going to legitimize my business because I'm going to pay you to. So like that whole aspect of like today's culture, I think, and like how that it overlaps with crypto is really bad for the industry. So the entire case, regardless of the outcome, I think is just bad for the industry. And I wish it didn't get as much news time as it is, but unfortunately, like that's what's going to stick with everyone in the immediate term. It's going to be hard to raise capital for a while.
As someone with an extensive background in TradFi, do you think this is more of a bad look on the finance industry as a whole, or more specifically crypto? Because like this was a centralized exchange, right? Like what makes this any different than any other exchange other than the fact that they were able to play regulatory arbitrage because it was crypto assets? Like when you really look at
It
the
depends on the
crypto
lobbyist.
versus
I have
go
the
ahead.
answer for you. It just depends on how lobbyists spin the narrative. If you spin the narrative as this is why we need regulation, this is why we need clear guidelines, this is why we need oversight, then that speed runs that part of regulation, then great. If you spin it as this is inherent only in crypto, like whatever, it depends on how the lobbyists choose to spin it, really. Because it could have happened in any industry, really. It just happens to be that crypto and banks are highly regulated, so it's less likely to happen. Crypto was pretty much the same thing as a bank and exchange product. It just wasn't regulated at all, and there was no oversight. So it's just going to be it's out of our hands at this point. It's in the lobbyist hands of how they kind of push lawmaking. Anyways.
Well, we'll see who takes over next because right now, not looking good, bruv.
It's not. It's embarrassing. It's shameful. And it's shameful what you guys are saying about Caroline.
Look, I'll say this, okay? I'm the first
She might
one.
be alien, though.
My female friends over the years, my wife, they've always loved being out with me because I'm usually the first one to step up if it needs to happen. But when someone, regardless of their sex, has knowingly defrauded billions of people, laughed about it in private while having drug-fueled orgies with her other fraud conspirators, say whatever the fuck you want about them is my personal opinion. Like they ruined thousands, tens of thousands of lives. Probably were the leading cause of some suicides that occurred at the time. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why we're showing sympathy to. I like the public outrage. You have women who are okay with it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, in all honesty, like from a personal perspective, I don't give a shit. Yeah, it's like they can rot in jail for the rest of their lives. I really care less what we say about them.
In normal circumstances, I
Yeah.
side with the white knight's opinion. That you shouldn't judge people on their looks
Look, they
or
lived and died by
their
the sword,
weight
right?
or anything like that. But
They
yes, those
Go ahead.
no, go ahead. Yeah. I was
I
just
say they
saying, but
raised
yeah,
all that
them
capital by
specifically.
being like the nerdy people in the room, right? The MIT grads, the Jane Street traders, right? That's how they raised all the capital because they're like the smartest, nerdiest looking people in the room. And they did outsmart everyone because they just took everyone's money. And now they're also dying by that sword, right? They goofy looking people that conned everyone, and now make people are going back to making fun of them because they're goofy. So
I like a lot of the females' takes. Like, nobody said a word when we were like making memes about Sam for the last fucking 4 years and turning him into Wojaks and like making fun of him looking like a nerd, just like you said. And everyone kind of left Carolyn alone except for
dude,
making fun of the
she didn't show
orgies
up
and
on the
stuff.
scene until that one interview. She was almost like, we never saw her face until there were like there was a video of her when she was talking about how they trade, and that was like 2 or 3 months before they went
Which is
belly
a
up anyways.
hilarious interview.
Yeah, which is like 2 or 3 months before they went belly up anyways. And then her Twitter account came out of nowhere and was like, "Oh, we'll buy all the FTX tokens or whatever." Yeah, it was just like she came out of nowhere. So she didn't have the 3-year runway that Tabasco and Bankman Free had, right? Like where's Trabuco? Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
we were
We
posting
made fun of
fucking
him for years.
Attack on Titan memes for
Yeah,
years
yeah,
about Trabuco
yeah. That was
and
in 2020. Yeah.
and his tummy on the yacht. I don't know. Yeah. Let them rot. Oh.
All right,
And
I'm
we'll
out.
end on that. We got to get some shit done. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back next time. Later.
Adios.